Alright guys, here we have a question that says it takes 12 men 20 days to build a wall. How long would it take 3 men? Now the big question is this direct variation or inverse variation? Now let's take a look at the question itself. Now it says it takes 12 men 20 days to build a wall. How long would it take 3 men? Now, if you're reducing the workforce in construction, do you think it would take longer or less time? So if you reduce the number of men on site that are building a wall, do you think it would take longer to build a wall or a shorter time to build a wall? Now, obviously, if you have 12 men taking 20 days to build a wall, if you have only 3 men, clearly it's going to take longer than 20 days. So if you decrease the number of persons working, then the time will be longer, meaning the amount of days will be greater. Now, this is an example of inverse variation. So this is very clear that this is inverse variation. And the formula for inverse variation is y is equal to k over x. Now, obviously, we're not dealing with y and x, so we're going to use m for men and d for days. So what you're going to have here, and again, it doesn't matter whether you put the m or the d first, you're going to end up with the same final answer. All right, so let's look at this and let's look at method 1 now. All right, so again, we have this formula that we're working with, and we just replaced m and d. We just replace y and x with m and d. So again, this is inverse variation because the more men you have, the less time it takes to build a wall. And the less men you have, the more time it takes to build a wall. So it's inverse variation. So it's y equal k over x. And we're just replacing the y and x with m and d. It doesn't matter whether I put d here or m here. The final answer should be the same. So you don't have to worry too much about that. So let's take a look at this. So the first sentence says it takes 12 men, k there, 20 days. So 12 times 20 equals k. So this would be 2 2's 4 and 2, so that's 240, and that is k. Now, we found the constant of variation, which is k, and now what we need to do is to answer the question, how long would it take 3 men? So the number of days is what is required. So again, I'm going to write back this formula, m equals k over d, and we have 3 men now. K is 240, and the number of days is what we need to find. Now we need to transpose for d. So what we don't do is cross multiply. So d times 3 is 3d, and that is 240. And now to find d, we're simply going to divide 240 by 3. So let's just proceed with it here. So d would be equal to 240 divided by 3, which would be equal to 80 days. So it would take 3 men 80 days, 4 times as long, to build this wall. So 12 men, it takes 12 men 20 days. How long would it take 3 men? Based on working out, it would take 3 men 80 days. Now let's just look at method 2. Okay, just to prove that the final answer would be the same. Again, we know it's inverse variation. And in the first method, we put m here and then d here. So what we're going to do is put d here and m here to show you that it doesn't really matter. So d equals k over m. So you don't have to worry too much about that. So again, based on the first statement here, it says it takes 12 men 20 days. So 20 days, 12. So we cross multiply. 20 times 12 would give us k, and again we get k to be 240. So in this particular case, it's the same value because in method 1, k was 240 here. So you see that we use method 2 and still get k to be 240 in this particular case for inverse variation. So now that we found k, we're going to go back to the formula. D equals k over m. And it says, how long now would it take 3 men? So the number of days is what we need to find. We know that K is 240. Number of men is now 3. And you can clearly see that 3 into 240 is 80, which is the same answer. Right? So it would take 3 men 80 days to build a wall. So it doesn't really matter whether I put the M first or the D first. You're going to get the final answer. So this is an example of inverse variation. And let's just emphasize something very critical. When you look at the question, you have to correctly determine whether it is going to be inverse variation or direct variation. That is a trick. So ask yourself, what are the two variables involved in the question? Are both, when one variable increases, does the other increase? Or does it occur that when one variable increases, the other decrease? So you have to know whether the question or the scenario is dealing with direct variation and inverse variation, because you're going to have to select the correct formula to use on that. So that is the trick with variation. And of course, K is always a constant of variation, and it doesn't matter. Once you identify the two variables, it doesn't matter which letter you put where. Just work it, and the final answer will be the same. All right. So I hope you guys found this video insightful, and I'll see you guys on the next video.